People of Earth, what's up? Neil here, 1/3 of TeamCulmer. Listen, man, I had a way different intro setup for TeamCulmer's first impression review of the iPhone XR. Had some technical difficulties, so voila, here's your new intro. But that don't stop no show. What we gonna do today? Unbox the iPhone XR. Compare it to my iPhone 8 Plus. I'm gonna tell you what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and we'll answer that question that's on everybody's mind. Should you get the iPhone XR this holiday season? That and a whole lot more. So without further ado, roll the opening credits. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, the star of the show, the iPhone XR. Like I said, I've been using the phone for about a week already. I just wanted to show everybody what comes with the phone once you pop off that plastic shrink wrap. So let's lift the top cover ever so slightly. You get your standard designed by Apple in California documentation, stickers, SIM removal tool, all that good stuff. Get that out of here. Next, we have the star of the show, the iPhone XR, all of its glory. 6.1-inch LCD screen. Big boy, ready to jam. Let's get him on the side. We also have lightning headphones, charging brick, and charging cable. One thing I noticed about the XR, and I'm sure the XS and XS Max was the same, as compared to the 8, 8 Plus, and the 10 last year, this does not come with the 3.5mm headphone adapter like the others did last year. So Apple is telling its users to, hey, either use the lightning headphones that we gave you or get some wireless ones. Luckily, I got some wireless ones, so these will remain in the box like so, along with the documentation that I never use. And now let's move on to compare the XR to my 8 Plus. So I have both phones side by side. I have the 8 Plus on the left. I have the XR on the right. That's the 8 Plus with Karter at 2 years old, and the XR with Karter at about 6 or 7 months old. Kiara, don't beat me up if I was wrong, but I love this picture because it's one of my favorite pictures of Karter as a baby. So back to the phones. So the 8 Plus has a 5.5-inch screen. The XR has a 6.1-inch screen. So obviously the XR has a bigger screen. The way Apple was able to accomplish that was they removed the home button. So now the front of the phone is literally all screen. You don't have any more home button, which hurts me because I love Touch ID. When I go into Apple or anywhere that accepts Touch ID, I just use Touch ID and pay for whatever. Face ID is new for me. It's something I'm going to have to get used to, but I just love the efficiency of Touch ID. Apple says Face ID is faster in this version of the iPhone, so you know I'm keeping fingers crossed, but I mean just to compare. So Touch ID, phone unlocks right away. Face ID, I have to look at the phone and then still swipe up to unlock it. Another thing, you can notice that the 8 Plus is a much taller phone than the XR. The 8 Plus is just over 6 inches tall and 3 inches wide. So for people who don't have big hands, it's hard to maneuver that phone with just one hand. The XR is under 6 inches tall. It's about 5.9 inches tall and under 3 inches wide. So it's a more comfortable feel for persons with smaller hands. They're able to maneuver it with one hand easily, and it's just a better feel. Another thing with the XR, So this comes in 6 colors. It comes in black, white, yellow, blue, coral, and product red. But I chose black. All of my iPhones have been black for as long as I can remember because I got some really good advice as a child years ago.
Charlie, you ever play roulette?
On occasion.
Well, let me give you a word of advice.
Always bet on black.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why I only stick with either black or space gray. Whatever color Apple decides to call it that year, they like to flip-flop between space gray and black. Whatever it is, and I do up for a new phone, I'm gonna get that. So we're taking a look at the back of the phone right now, and you'll realize that both the 8 Plus and the 10R have glass backs. Apple started making the glass backs with the 8 series as well as the 10 last year for wireless charging. So no longer did you have to say, oh, I gotta get a long charging cable because the one that came with the phone too short, or man, my charging cable got a short in it and it ain't charging my phone properly. All you gotta do is go to your local Best Buy or wherever, get a wireless charging pad, whether it's Samsung, Insignia, Belkin, whatever brand. Get yourself a wireless Qi charging pad, plug that in, stick your iPhone on top of that, and boom, she charging. Love that feature. Also, we want to look at the camera. So on the 8 Plus, you have a dual 12 megapixel camera. Lens on the left is for wide angle shots. Lens on the right is the telephoto lens. So for wide angle, think of landscape shots, think of group photos with the family. You don't want to chop nobody out of the picture. You use your wide angle. Telephoto lens, think of portraits, think of up close shots, but not zoomed in like a macro lens. So that's the difference between the two. Now with the portrait mode in the 8 Plus and the 10, because remember the 8 only had a single lens. On the 8 Plus and the 10, portrait mode is a mystery to me because in the native camera app on the iPhone, you cannot choose a lens to take portrait with. Apple has some sort of sorcery going on where it uses both lenses along with some software algorithms and magic and all kind of stuff, and you're able to take portrait photos. Never understood that. With the 10R, you have one single wide angle lens. So this is the best of both worlds because you could take wide angle portrait shots. So you could take a portrait of a person but have more background in the shot. And one thing I realized, Google changed the game last year when they brought out the Pixel 2 with the single lens that was capable of portrait mode. When I saw that, I was like, boy, Google trying to get me away from Apple. They want me to buy this phone. But Apple came through in the clutch, single lens, wide angle, portrait mode capable. Now, what I realized in using the 10R is you can take portraits of people, obviously, but you can't take portraits of anything other than a person. So let's say, for example, I wanted to take a portrait of my dog or my cat. I could do that with the 8 Plus, but I can't do that with the 10R, 10S, or 10S Max. The only way around that I found is to download a third-party app called Halide. Halide allows you to use that feature, but in the native camera app, you cannot do portraits of your pets or a glass of wine or whatever. You cannot do that with the native app, only with Halide. So that was one interesting feature that I found. So now that we've seen what the 10R could do, let's look at price. Everybody wants to know which iPhone to get this holiday season, considering Apple came out with 3 phones this year. So the 10S and the 10S Max came out first in September. The 10R came out in October. 10S and 10S Max, you got a dual camera on the back and you have an OLED screen. OLED is more of a richer, vibrant screen. Blacks appear more black. You're watching YouTube, you're watching Netflix, the colors appear to be more vivid than they would on an LCD screen. and the 10R has an LCD screen. OLED is more expensive to produce. So that's one of the factors that causes the cost difference between the 10R and the 10S and 10S Max. So let's look at cost. iPhone 10s and 10s Max. They both come in 3 colors: silver, space gray, and gold. And they both come in 3 sizes: 64 gig, 256 gig, and 512 gig. So let's start off with the 10s. 64 gig iPhone 10s, $999. 256 gig iPhone 10s, $1149. And the 512 gig iPhone 10s, $1349. Now, I don't know about you, but for me and mine, I can't justify spending laptop money on a smartphone. That's just me. Like, I know Apple considers the 10s and the 10s Max the premium flagship phones, but like the MacBook Air is like right here when it comes to comparative pricing with the 10s Max. I actually think the 10s Max is a little more than a MacBook Air. That blows my mind. So, you know, if you could afford it, do you. But like I said, for me, I can't call anybody's pocket. I only can do what I can do. So let's look at the 10s Max. 10s Max, 3 sizes, 3 colors: 64 gig, 256 gig, 512 gig. iPhone 10s Max, 64 gig, $1099. 256 gig, $1249. 512 gig, $1449. But now let's look at the 10R. iPhone 10R comes in 6 colors: black, white, yellow, blue, coral, product red. Comes in 3 sizes: 64 gig, 128 gig, and 256 gig. So the sizes are different than the 10s and 10s Max. The highest the 10s and 10s Max goes to is 512. Highest the 10R goes to is 256. So that's the consideration to factor in as well. So iPhone 10R, 64 gig, $749. 128 gig, $799. 256 gig, $899. So the highest model 10R at $899 is still less than the lowest model 10s at $999. So if you're looking at the cost difference between the entry model 10R, 64 gig, $749, and the entry model 10s, which is the next phone up from the 10R, 64 gig, $999, there's a $250 cost difference. So do I have to spend $250 additional dollars for an extra lens for my camera, an OLED screen, a smaller screen? Because remember, the 10R has a 6.1 screen, the 10s has a 5.8 inch screen. So 10R wins in terms of screen size. The internals are the same. You're not getting any different internals. You're getting the same CPU, basically getting the same internals. You might have a gig more of RAM in the 10s and 10s Max, but it's negligible. So with that being said, if you're like me and you're looking to save some coins or some dollars this year, surefire bet, it's the iPhone 10R. I love this phone. I mean, I don't experience any slowdown with the phone. The camera's great. The performance is great. Speakers are loud. Like, this is what the 10 should have been, because the 10 was kind of a letdown for some people. So this is what the 10 should have been. But I mean, it's the holiday season. If you're gonna treat yourself, treat yourself. So for me, I chose the 10R. Full disclosure, I paid $0 for this because this is my work phone. So shout out to work for upgrading me from an iPhone 7 to a 10R. You're the real MVP. So if you're coming from an iPhone 4, 5, 5S, 6, 6S, 7, 7 Plus, you want a new phone, but you want to watch your pocket, this is the one to get. 8 and 8 Plus, I don't really see it as an upgrade. I mean, the 8 Plus that I have is performing pretty well, so I don't really see the need to upgrade. Or if you've never had an iPhone before and you want one for the holidays, get your 10R. This is Neil, and this has been a TeamCulmer First Impressions review of the iPhone 10R. I want to take this time to send happy holidays greetings to everybody around the world watching the video. I'll see you next time. Peace.